Okay, let me share my screen.
I'll just keep letting people in, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
Why don't we just disable that?
Can you disable that sound?
Not the
Can't-
sound.
I can't disable the sound right now, but people can just come in now, Mary Jo.
Okay, thank you.
What, do you see my community of practice, the YTP? Do you see that?
Yeah, make it big.
Make it bigger, okay. That's a little too big.
No, you're not sharing the document. We see your desktop
Oh,
and part of the document.
Just part.
okay. That is weird. How did that happen? Let me go back, stop share. Sorry, folks.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. So I just wanted to start as we buzz people in and talk about what's coming up. Today, Mary Tharp is going to talk about how to use some of the assessments and how to get in remotely and other questions. Next Thursday, it's Tony DePeel and Lisa Catherwood for soft skills training. May 28th is virtual resumes with WorkSource, and all of that is on the YTP website. Michelle, did you want to say something about the virtual resume with WorkSource? You were saying how excited you were.
Oh, yes, I am very excited about this. This was a connection from Naomi Bledsoe and Reynolds, and it's just a lot of really innovative, up-to-date stuff about how to search for and stand out in the job market during these virtual times. So tune in.
Okay, so that should be really great. Announcements is please return your filled out Google form with your plans, what you're doing now in summer. And then Patty Bates had a question. Does any YTP specialist have any resources or study guides for the CDL? She has a student who hasn't been successful taking it a few times and wants to study with that student. So if anyone has anything, can you let us know in the chat? And then self-care. You know, Lisa, thanks for doing that community practice on mental health. It's Mental Health Awareness Week. And like today, I have a headache from just being online and just being that awareness. But also after we had that community of practice, I was walking and I was thinking about it. I was thinking what I most miss and what I need to think about is what makes me laugh and smile. Because I think in this environment, we just don't, it's not the same. It's just not the same. So anyway, thank you for doing that. And everybody take care of yourselves and do what you need. And then Summer Academy is online. It's going to be Community of Practices, June 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th from 1 to 2:30. And we've been working diligently on that. So we want you all to come and share that with us. So we're excited about it. And the dates for the regionals, October 5th, 6th, 8th, 13th, and 15th. And also, I was on a MEGA call this morning, people who are doing MEGA, and there's a new training on Ontario in August, and then some other MEGA trainings in Astoria, Hillsborough, Salem, or Grants Pass. So take advantage of those. And I'll just go back up to the top, and just the YTP website has all this information. But I just wanted to share it out as a reminder. So I'm going to stop my share and turn it over to Mary.
I want to, as an introduction to Mary, I want to say, and maybe you're going to say this, Mary, but I always have to brag on you. She's was a transition specialist for years at Cresswell High School. So she is near and dear to my heart and all the good work she did in Cresswell, and now she's working with CIS, which is amazing. So she brings that, working with students that have barriers to employment, to that program, which is so exciting.
Well, thank you for that. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't have the green section around it, so hopefully, I just want to make sure that you guys can see it. So my name is Mary Tharp Staten, and I am the User Services Coordinator here at CIS. I was a transition specialist before coming to CIS. So the students you guys work with are also near and dear to my heart. I think that CIS can be a really valuable tool for all of you. So today, Lisa, thank you for inviting me again. I was on a call of practice a while ago and we did a big overview, which is a lot of information. So today we're going to talk about CIS in the context of really using it remotely and some of the new features and how that can assist you, how to proctor, and a little deeper into it other than just a big site overview. On the screen here, you can see that I have my email address. It is mtharp@uoregon.edu. Right now, we are not allowed in the office, as many of you are not allowed in. So we don't have access to our phone lines. It's something we're working on, finding a way to be able to respond, but it is the best way to get in touch with us is via email. So please feel free to send me any questions you have after this. I'd be happy to assist you and try to help you come up with a plan to assist your students. So I did put together a quick little agenda just to give you an overview of what I will be talking about. First, we're going to talk about assessments, how to proctor, how to set it up, and how to do that remotely where you're not in a classroom setting with the students. We're going to talk about where there's additional curriculum in our system. So if you're wanting to put together a career plan or do some activities, even if you want to go and print them off and have the paper version for those students that maybe don't have access to the internet, there's a lot of curriculum in CIS. And we're going to talk about the career plan. I want to talk about how it's set up. So if you decide to throw together a quick career plan for your students, understanding the structure, it's not difficult, but there is a method to the madness. So I'd like to show you guys a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about these important features in CIS, the toggling feature, which is used for proctoring, especially if you're doing it remotely, and the proxy feature. So let's go ahead and get into the system here. Anytime you want to log into Oregon CIS, just know that everybody comes to the same portal login page, whether you're a staff member or whether it's a student. They come to this oregoncis.uoregon.edu. And when they come here, the system will guide them to your site type based on the credentialing that you put here for your username and password. The system identifies that and will take your students to their school or you to the school that you work at. One of the things that I want to highlight on this portal login page is this contact information, again, reinforcing that we don't have access to, we can check voicemail, but we just don't have a way to call you guys back. So under this contact us tab here, if you guys have any questions, all of our emails are here for our entire team. So if you forget my email or you're wanting to figure out what it is, you can find it under this contact us page. This is Josie Brennan. She is in charge of all fee worksheets. So if you want to do any add-ons or anything, this is who you would reach out to for fee worksheets or payment. This is me, so this is where you can find my email address. And anything to do with training, curriculum, creating career plans, anything like that, this is where you can come and get my email address. And know that these are our direct lines. So when we are back in the office, if you want to call me directly and leave me a voicemail or ask a question, you can use these numbers. Gary Davlin, if your school is having a problem with getting onto the CIS site, sometimes schools will block sites that students can see, and CIS sometimes needs to be whitelisted. He can help assist with that between the IT departments, so it's not on your shoulders. He's a great contact for that information. And then Stephen Mattis, if you want to put scholarships into Oregon CIS, we now have a Qualtrics form that he will send you, and you can put your school's custom scholarships into CIS. So this is who you'd want to reach out to for that. And then Matt Bell, our new director, he's not new to CIS, so he has been around for almost 20 years, and he's a wealth of information, so you can contact him for just about anything. With that said, I just wanted you to know that this page is here, so if you have questions over the summer, or as you're trying to build or figure out how to do this remote learning, or if I show you a feature and you're like, I can't remember what that is, send me an email and I'll send you a guide, or I'll get you what you need. So anytime in the system you want to get back to the home page now, you come up here to this logo. This is the new logo with the redesign, and you can see it's the state of Oregon with a face. We serve the people of Oregon, so we felt it was fitting. I click that and it brings me back to the login page. So we're going to go ahead and log in here, and I'm going to sign into our demo account so we can play around in it and not make any modifications. I do live in a small town south of Eugene, and my internet is not as fast as the university, so my apologies if things move a little slow. When you log in as a staff member, you should see this purple background. You should see this purple banner with this picture of Crater Lake at sunset. If you are seeing blue, red, or green, you have a student account. So you want to have this purple account because this is where you have all of the features to be able to proxy in and check a student's work, which is a new feature in CIS, as well as toggling between a staff and a student account. Now, it's the first feature I'm going to show you coming in here because working remotely with students, they need that one-to-one. They need to see exactly where to go. So you need to have an account that you can guide a student through exactly where they need to go. So to do that, you come up here next to your name and you will see this downward facing caret. You click on that and you will see this option here. It will either say staff or coordinator. And when you click on the button, it will turn blue and it will take us over to the student view. So can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my screen? It says I have no internet all of a sudden.
Nope.
So,
Your screen went away.
yeah. Okay, let's see.
It may come back, but it's a pretty stormy day, Mary.
I know. I had this happen the other day with thunder and lightning, and I was cutting out. It felt terrible. So it's telling me I'm having a problem. Join from my browser. Let me see if I can get back in. Oh, I was so excited to show you guys these features. Sorry.
That's okay. We've all been there.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm going to have to try to get back in here. It's interesting. I have.
While we have a little time, some of you that aren't showing your names on your screen, we do keep track of who joins us for each community of practice. If you can put in your, there's one up there I'm seeing that's capital T-R-A and a flower. That's beautiful, but it would be great to know who you are, and then there's a few others that have numbers and stuff. If you can look and then just go up, you just go to the 3 dots next to the mute or unmute, and you can click on that, and then you can rename yourself. Thank you.
It's trying to connect, so I'm trying to log back in. I don't know what happened to my internet, but disconnected for a moment.
And
So I am getting a spinning wheel saying it's connecting. We are having a pretty gusty storm down here in Creswell right now, but I don't know if that's what's happening. I haven't had any internet issues this whole time, and I've done over 70 webinars in the last month, so this is unfortunate.
These storms, yesterday we lost internet here in Eugene, so I think these storms are definitely having an effect, so.
There was a suggestion in the chat that we could go to the website and follow verbal instructions.
We could bring up this.
Like one of us could maybe try and.
Sure.
Who has a CIS account? I don't have. Do any of us, who has an account that could do that?
Our district got rid of it.
I can give you guys, the hard part is I can't even see you guys anymore. I got completely kicked out.
Oh no.
I'm on audio, but I can't see your,
Mary, can you use your phone as a hotspot?
yeah, that's actually what I'm trying to do right now. Let's see. And it's just, that's where I'm getting, let me try something really quick.
this is a really frustrating time for all of us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. I have
While
not
you're working on
experienced this.
that, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, shift gears. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the chat or not. This is Jesse, by the way. It's really in our best interest if we try to introduce ourselves every time. So Jesse with UO, you guys know that. But here's the Trucking Academy. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
So this was the link that was put up in the chat to help answer the question, who can train on CDLs out of Albany here in the Valley? This has been a pretty successful school for some of the kids in the local area for me.
He's supposed to go to work for a certain company. All he needed to do was to get his permit and they would train him. What I was trying to find was just the, you know, like something somebody had put together, flashcards, questions, or whatever for the CDL that I could help him, you know, do that piece and get his permit so that he can go to work for them and be trained to get his CDL.
Right.
This company is a father-daughter, as you can see in the notes. I'm not sure if they'd be willing to bargain with you or something, but they're the type that they even taught someone to read, and they will reteach people over and over. So they strike me as the kind of people that might have compassion for your situation. So maybe give them a call anyway.
This would help too. The Oregon DMV has audio version of the manual that can read it out loud to them.
Also,
Okay, I'm back.
Never mind.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
let me get us back to Oregon CIS here. And okay. Okay, can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll go ahead and keep going. I guess we'll start over. So we're gonna go ahead and log in. And we were at the point of talking about the toggling feature for proctoring. So one of the features that, oh, let's see, it's moving really slowly. Really slow. One of the features that we do have, and I'll just give you a verbal description here for proctoring, there we go, is being able to be on the staff side. So again, reinforcing that when you log in, you want to see this purple screen here, this purple background with Crater Lake at sunset. And this gives you access to be able to go into student accounts, create things for your students, create groups, and build curriculum if you'd like. So one of the features that you will need for proctoring and working virtually is the toggle feature. So to do that, you come to this downward facing caret next to your name, and you will click on that, and it will say staff or coordinator here. When you click on this, it will turn blue or red if you're at a custom site type, and it will take you over to your linked student account. So you have an account attached to your staff account that looks just like what your students will see. So if you're working virtually, if you're having a Zoom meeting, let's say one-on-one with one of your YTP students, or if you have a group of YTP students and you're hosting a class, you can use the purple side for proctoring, which is something we're going to go over. But when you're showing students where to go and they need to have that one-to-one, this is a way where you can come in and you can show them click by click what you want them to do and how to navigate this side of the system. Now, any activities you do in this account or in your purple account will show up under the dashboard and under your saved work. So I strongly recommend, if you have not, do the assessments, do the sorts, take some time to come in. And when you do that, it will help with proctoring because you'll know what the student experience is going to be. That is a tip, but we do provide instructions for everything for you. As my apologies, you guys, it is moving really slowly. But under your dashboard on the student side of the system, under saved work, you can see all of the activities that you've done. So you can use those as examples when you're showing students how to find their work and give them guidance. So that is a really important feature for proctoring and working remotely with students. The other thing to know here is the difference between the systems. You'll see here, we have a dashboard for the student. We have a career plan for the student, which is just structured curriculum for them. They're pre-organized and put together for you for the 9th through 12th grade, but you can come in and with the career plan editor, you can create your own career plans. You can come in and you can organize things in a way that works best for your students. I'm getting nervous because I think I may have just gotten disconnected again. Can you guys still see my screen?
We can still see it. Oh, no, now not. Some people are asking, did you say that their work is saved automatically?
Yes. We have what's called a heartbeat autosave system now. So every 2 seconds, the system saves their work for them. There are areas where you can go in and click save. Let's see if it's going to let me share my screen with you again here. But yes, that is a new feature. So their saved work will be in there. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So Yes, their work is automatically saved. So over here on the student side, you'll see that this says career plan. On the staff side, it's going to say career plan guide. That word guide is set up so it will help you with proctoring. We have instructions and standards and all of the stuff on the staff side. But this is what your students will see. And this is just structured curriculum, 9th through 12th grade, and it will take them step by step and help them build a plan. A proper career plan will have multiple phases, and the phases will build on each other. And within those phases, you will have different activities, and those activities within the phases will build on each other. So that's how these are currently set up, but you can modify and adjust them for your students. So, and lastly, we have this Explore Resources tab. This is your library of activities. These are all the different activities that we have in Oregon CIS, the assessments, the sorts, all of the things that you may want to do with your student. And today we're going to give you guys some recommendations on things that you might want to do with them. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to toggle back over to the coordinator side. So let's talk about what you guys will see and how that can help you proctor working virtually with students. So I click the button, it takes me back over to my staff account, and hopefully it takes us back over to the staff account. I am using the hotspot on my phone right now, so that might be why it's taking a little bit more time.
And while you're doing that, someone is asking, is there a step-by-step guide on how to use CIS? After setting up an account, set up a student account, do assessments before assigning students, those kind of things.
We don't have a step-by-step guide on how to use CIS, primarily because everybody implements so differently. But I am in the process of recording short tutorial videos on how to create an account. And then I've done that one. Next will be a short tutorial video on, you know, how to set up things in the career plan. We're trying to keep them under 3 minutes. We do have here, when you log in to your staff side account, we do have some pre-recorded webinars that you can come in and watch that give step-by-step on all the activities that are in, it's just like our normal site coordinator webinar, giving you an overview of what's in CIS. But we are working on creating a library of resources for you all to be able to just come watch short snippets of what you're wanting. So I hope eventually that is something we're hoping to have completed before fall. So I will be doing those this next week. I'm taking a week off webinars, and I'm gonna try to get a bunch of those recorded, and we'll get those up as soon as possible. So hopefully that's helpful. So we're back here on the staff side of the system. So what you guys are going to want to know over here is that this career plan guide is designed to proctor assessments. We give you all of the resources you need. You don't have to know everything about Holland codes just off the top of your head, or have a full understanding of all of that. That knowledge base, we give you those resources so that you can prepare. And really setting the stage when proctoring is one of the most important pieces. So under the career plan guide, it looks just like what the student sees. But for example, under phase 1 here and under the skills assessment, if you click this downward facing caret, you will see a button here, and it says view instructional resources for staff and administrators. If you click on that, every activity in CIS that comes pre-done, something we provide to you, has the outcomes for this activity, any tips from the field, and we will give you any support materials. So if you wanted to do this activity with your YTP students, you could walk through the skills PowerPoint and talk to them. It will tell you about the activity so you can set the stage and walk through that. We also have the instructions here. We have the preparation, and then the day one, this is a 2-day activity. So a day 1 steps as well as day 2 steps. So that will be, again, pre-done for you with the instructions on how to proctor this. And then underneath you have standards. So everything is crosswalked for you to the ASCA mindsets, the NCDA, Common Core, and for you guys, pre-ETs here. So you'll know what pre-ETs this activity is meeting as you go through and proctor that. So lastly, we'll also have any extensions and modifications. So if there are any additional websites that might help you, we'll have that pre-provided for you in here. So there are a wealth of tools and assessments in here. I think a big question for everybody is which ones are good ones for us to be doing right now with students. So with that said, I'm going to show you guys under Explore Resources. This is what I have found for best practices. So if you're doing stuff over the summer with students and it needs to be done remotely, let's take a look at what activities you guys could be doing and how you could be setting this up for your students. So I'm going to show you under this Explore Resources tab here, we have these sections. We have occupation, education and training, employment, and additional tools. I think starting here under occupations is one of the best ways to figure out the best foundation for your students. Now, the one thing about YTP that I think can be really challenging for all of you is that you work with such a broad range of students, skill sets, you have so many unique cases that trying to do something in just a standard way typically does not work, right? It's really customizing these plans to the student. So you can come in here and you can at least set a foundation. And I think this is the best way to look at these activities in CIS. So we have this tile here that's a tool for occupations. When you come in here and make the selection for the tools, I think what would be helpful is to know how does this tool apply to the occupations? So for example, the occupation list is exactly what it says it is. It's a big list of occupations. If you have a student that just wants to look through a big list of occupations, maybe that's something that would work for them. The skills assessment is looking at this list of occupations, this big pool of occupations, through the lens of what skills do I have or what skills am I willing to learn? So what training, what am I willing to learn? What are things that, that I already possess, and if I were to get training, what would I be willing to do? You can come in and you can look at the interest profiler. I call this the passion tool. We use the term interest, but you're looking at the same list of occupations, but you're looking at it through the lens of what interests me, what am I passionate about? The example I like to use, since I've been home, I've been doing home renovation projects. I greatly enjoy it. I don't know that I'd want to do it as an occupation, but I sure enjoy it being at home. It's something I find it very rewarding. So letting students know that when you're setting the stage, this is that passion tool. What am I passionate about? And it's looking again at that same list of occupations. Looking at work importance locator. This is my work values. This is flexibility something I value in my schedule, or is structure something that I value in my my work life? All of those things about your work life that are values to you, that's what this tool looks at. So my recommendation when you're looking at what tools to use is, what does the student need? Maybe the student already knows their skills and you feel like they have a really strong understanding of that. So maybe the starting point needs to be passion. Or maybe they've already done the skills and the interest profiler and they need to think about, you know, the values in the skills in the job. That's something where your guys' guidance just can't be replaced. The system can assist you and help you, but for each student that you're working with, you'll want to figure out, and it's really more about knowing what the tool does, and then you can put it in the placement that's right for the student. But if you want to have a generalized idea, this is always my recommendation. start with the interest profiler. It will give the student a good idea about their passion and interest. This is a great foundation to start. I want to point out a little bit about proctoring because I think it's really important. The student can come in and they can read and go through these instructions. We do have it set up so if a student isn't, able to attend your Zoom class or isn't there, they can come in and they can read these instructions. Now, the reading level for Oregon CIS for high school is held at an 8th grade reading level. So if this is not something that they can come in and read, they're not at that level, it might take that extra proctoring piece from you. You'll know where your student needs assistance. And what you have the student do is come in, but what you want come in and do the assessment. But before you have them do that, the things you want to emphasize to them is that there are 180 statements that describe different activities. These are not, do you want to do this as an occupation? This is, would you enjoy this activity? It says you'll rate each of these statements. Let them know not to spend too much time thinking about it. It's okay to just answer, and it's okay if they don't know. It's okay to stay neutral. We've had a lot of people say, well, I thought that wasn't good. No, if they don't know, that's okay. And let them know that. And then also letting them know, this isn't so relevant here maybe, but not to talk to your friends and get their opinions about the activities because this is a self-reflective tool. So it's based on what they say about themselves. And letting them know there's no time limit. And really importantly is that you can do this assessment as many times as you would like. This is not a one and done thing. We know students grow from 9th grade to 12th grade. We know they grow from 6th to 8th. They're going to change, interests are going to change, and that's okay. So you'll want to set the stage. Now, this interest profiler under the career plan guide, in the career plan, we will have that proctoring statement there for you. We'll have that where you have a PowerPoint to go through with them beforehand. Then you bring them into the system. You have them go through the assessment. So they'll come in, they'll click begin, they'll read each statement, and they'll go through the system. If the 180 questions is too much, we do have the interest profiler short. The difference is there are less questions and it has a larger gradation of response. So again, that's you knowing your student. Will they know if they strongly like or strongly dislike something? So if you feel like your student could do that and it can do an assessment and really know that they're going to not like something, then the interest profiler short is just as effective as the long one. You'll notice that the number here will increase as we move along, and this results button will not open up until the student has answered all of the questions. So I'm going to go ahead and just click through this really quickly so you can see that movement. Also know that if a student clicks only on one side and likes absolutely everything, more than likely they'll have a lot of similarities in their numbers. If they click strongly dislike over and over again, even if you're not in the computer lab with them, you'll be able to tell by their results. It will say they will have zeros in a lot of areas if they click dislike on everything. So there are ways, even from afar, even from proctoring remotely, that you'll be able to see if a student just sat there and did that little click, click, click. So sorry if this is blinking on your screen here. I'm just gonna show you how the answer set results come up. I think that this is really important for you guys to see that the system will identify the 100%. It is important to know that they answered every question. As soon as it hits that 100%, you now have this results button. When they click that, it is going to give them an overview, and then it's going to give them their hauling codes. So hopefully that will pop up here shortly. And so you guys know, a true hauling code is their top 3 scores. So with this, you guys have set the stage because you've gone through and you've told them about the assessment, you've looked at the PowerPoint, you've done the proctoring. Now the student has come through and they've answered all the questions and they're going to get this page of results here. Oh, well, that. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle over here. I think the internet, this is definitely an internet issue, and again, my apologies. At least my dogs aren't barking too loud. My silver lab has been chasing the squirrel all morning, and she's been pretty fiery, so she's at least quieting down for this. Okay, so what you'll want to do for the follow-up, this is really important. It's not up on the screen, but let's go ahead and talk about this. When you get to the Holland Code results page, you want to have them click on their top 3 Holland codes. Before they go into that, make sure that your students understand what the Holland codes mean. For example, my YTP kids were always like, Miss Tharp, my top Holland code is conventional. Does this mean I'm boring? Like, no, it means like you like structures. You like things organized. So you guys can see here that we did that on the staff side. It's saved over here on this side because this is my account attached to the staff side. So it is here, and it will let you come in and restore your answer sets at any time. So these will pop up here hopefully for us in a second. But there is a little description of each of the Holland codes on this page that I'm going to show you, and maybe just going over the top 3 with them. And then what you want them to do is go into those 3 Holland codes and save off a few occupations. So the first tool that I would have your students go through would be the interest profiler. Have them go in, set the stage, have them go through it, and then have them save 2 occupations in their top 3 Holland codes. That means they would have 6 saved occupations. So after doing that, what I would do is I would have the students go into the reality check and have them do the reality check, and then have them see if any of those occupations they saved in the interest profiler show up on the reality check list. And that is a really nice way remotely for you to be able to, so clearly, the system, my internet must have bogged out before I finished, which is strange. I'm not sure what's happening on my internet side here. If you have them do that, the interest profiler will build into the reality check. So they can then compare, does the lifestyle I want to live meet or match with the occupations that I've chosen? So I think that once you see how the assessments can build on each other and it can start to open conversations and lay a foundation, that is ideal with the assessments and all of the sorts and things that we have in here. So I'm going to go ahead and restore an older interest profiler set here, and in the hopes that I can show you what that final page looks like, so you can see how you would be able to guide students in to save off a few occupations. And you can see that I've saved here the skills assessment. I've saved off occupations through the different lenses of all of these different assessments. So for example, I have skills, I went through skills, and looking through the lens of skills, I saved off technical writers. You can see from reality check, I came in and I had saved buyers and purchasing agents. So you can come in and you can make those selections and have variation. I feel like you guys probably can't see my screen again.
Correct.
Yes, I can see that. See here. There we go. Let's see if it'll let me do it again. We're really working through some fun technical difficulties. The best part is that the page actually showed up that I've been trying to show you. So it's here, at least if you can see it. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, okay, good. So this is what the results page should look like. It should not be this hard to get here, but you have an overview, and then what you have here are your Holland codes and the scores for those. So a true Holland code, again, is these top 3, and then what you would do is have the student go through this, or maybe sit and talk with them about this. So whether that's a virtual meeting, ask them to go into their top Holland code score. So they would click realistic here, and what this will do is this will make a connection between their interests and occupations. So now you have here a list of occupations that fall under this realistic Holland code. So you can have them sort, so they can come in and they can sort. Now my students always wanted wage first, and then they would look at education level, but wage was always the first thing they wanted to know. So I'm not going to sort that because I'm afraid it's going to kick me off again. But what you can do here is then have them come in and look at the snapshot, and the ones that they feel that they want to go in and dig deeper into, they can. So this lets you know here, this is the cluster that these occupations fall under. They give you the education level here, roughly what the wages are, and then it gives you licensing barriers. Now these licensing barriers, what this means in this context is there a licensing barrier for the occupation, for example, becoming a nurse? Yes, there would be a licensing barrier because you have to have a license to be a nurse. And then here we have, is it STEM? So what you would do here is then have them click on the title over here, and it will take them to the occupations page. And this is where they can really dig in to the occupation and get a wealth of information. There will be a left side navigation menu here that you can start to scroll through. We start with an at a glance. So it will give you wages, employment, tenure growth, annual openings, things like that. If it has a video, it will be right here. These are a little bit outdated. They come from our national network, but they are also very informative. There's an overview section, specific work activities. Something really beneficial for all of you would be helpful high school courses. So if this is an occupation that your student wants to go into, what high school courses can help them start to gain those foundational skills for this occupation? So you can also use this when you're helping to write those transition plans. What courses are you having the student take to lead into that occupation? And so look at what your school offers and see if there's any connection there. They can also start moving through the system laterally if they'd like. They can come down and look at programs of study, look at what places in the state of Oregon offer, and they can start to kind of navigate if they'd like to. But what you really want them to do is come in and click the star button, save it off, and now this will give me an option to write a little comment. And if I want to save that, they don't have to, but they can. And then this will be on my dashboard under my saved work. So you would want them to come in here and find a couple of occupations they might be interested in based on their interest profile or results. And then when you have them come in and do the next activity, which would be the reality check, it will show if this fits all the criteria that they put in, this occupation will show as a favorited occupation, showing them that their lifestyle and the occupations they're looking at mesh together, and they can start to create a plan. So from there, you'd want to start looking at what kind of education and training would benefit my students. So 1, I would do the interest profiler. 2, I would do the reality check. If I had a third, it would be Oregon certificate sort or Oregon school sort. It's really good to know the difference in the tools. So you'll see I'm under Explore Resources here under Education and Training. You can come in and you can have them do the Oregon school sort, which has all the 2-year and 4-year schools in the state of Oregon and all of the 4-year schools around the country. And Oregon certificate sort has all of the apprenticeship programs and all of the accredited certificate programs throughout the state of Oregon. So depending on the path your student is wanting to go to, I would have them do either both of these or one of these based on what their plan is. So you can start with the Passion Tool of Interest Profiler, have them do the reality check, and then have them come in and look at where they can get some kind of education or training for that occupation. This is a very reduced version of the overall career plans, but this could be a shortened version that could really help you over the summer. And that would just be using the tools that we have here. The other thing that I think could be very beneficial for all of you, if you have not attended one of the trainings that we have offered, I will be doing another training series throughout summer, and I talk about how to build career plans. I walk you through the career plan editor. If you're interested in wanting to do that and put that together, or you have questions about it, please let me know or come to one of those trainings, because I would be happy to show you how to put all of the things I'm talking about right now into a plan. In an hour time to talk about them and show you would be very confusing. You would all be very overwhelmed. So I'm just going to talk about it, but if you decide you do want to do that, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to send you information, or even hop on a Zoom with you and help you set it up for your students. I'm more than happy to do that. So the other thing to know is on the staff side, and let's pray that we don't get booted off here again. I want to show you the resources and tutorials and the curriculum that we have here. We have a wealth of curriculum, and specifically we have the curriculum that we partnered with Vocational Rehabilitation, and it does link to those PREET standards. So if you're working remotely, you could be doing some of those activities, and that could really be beneficial to know that you're doing things around those pre-employment transition services. But also we have some other curriculum that you guys could use as well if you want to have printed versions for your students and things like that. So I'm just going to hop over here and show you where those are. I know we don't have a lot of time, and you guys probably have some questions, I'm assuming, and I want to make sure I can help answer some of those. So under dashboard here, again, we're on the purple side, the staff side. Right here under resources and tutorials, we will have the project access curriculum and something called Discovery and Passage. And they are both really great curriculums. So again, dashboard, resources and tutorials, and then you're going to click here on curriculum. And I'm thinking that because we're having such crazy internet issues right here, when I put together this next round of training, I'm looking at hitting some different content. I think that I will do one specifically around YTP. I will offer just a weekly webinar around YTP. If you guys want to join, I'll just add one of those in. Because I feel like you guys need a full 90 minutes to really be able to get in here and use this. And it's so, we haven't had as much time just because of the internet issues I'm having. So I would be happy to maybe add that in. And then if you guys want to show up, you can. It might be beneficial. And then we can just really look at this for a full 90 minutes and get some questions answered if you're wanting to dig in. So here is the Discovery and Passage for the classroom activities. And then right here, we have the Project Access curriculum. And you can see here that we have self-awareness, social skills, self-advocacy, disability, cognitive skills, and career options. And then we have miscellaneous. If you come under just self-awareness, there is a whole bunch of curriculum, and you can link these out. So you could have them do the interest profiler and then maybe come in and do some reflective stuff here, or do some of these activities. and it will really help them build the skill sets that are necessary for them to be, you know, employable and start to build that foundation. So this curriculum is here for you guys, as well as that the other curriculum that we have, the Discovery and Passage curriculum, also very similar. It has the foundations of who am I, where am I going. You can come in here and you'll notice that these activities are set up very much like the things that we have in the career plan. It gives you the steps, the preparation, and they're already pre-crosswalked. So this is just additional information for you, different curriculum for you. So if you guys decide that you want to try to piece something together or you have questions around it, let me know. So, so if you have any questions,
there are some questions.
Happy to take.
Chelsea asked, I've never used CIS before, but just asked the district for an admin account. The question is, when they log in, is there a list of students? Do they have to add their transition students to the accounts? How individualized is it?
Okay, that's a great question. So it depends on your school's implementation. So it depends on who's created the accounts for your student and who your site coordinator is. When you log in, you will be able to come to this user activity tab and you will be able to see who has accounts. So if your site coordinator just creates them for the entire school, then your students may very well have accounts. If it's something where it's not done that way and it's done by teacher, then you may have to add them. If you need to add them, we have multiple ways to do that. I strongly suggest doing the batch uploading process. So to find out what accounts are at your site, overall, just all of your accounts, you come under user activity, and it will give you a list of all the users in your site. You probably won't have this many. This is the demo account we use for training. But what you have here is these filtering options. So you can come in and you can filter and say, well, I'm looking for students who have the 10th grade, a career plan assigned to them. And you can start to filter down. And as you make selections here, the system will open up and allow you to filter down more and more. So this is when you're on this page, this is just going to give you the big list of all the students. But you can come in and you can look for your students through these filtering options. And that will let you know. You can also search by name here. So that will depend on, again, on how your school has set up CIS. Okay. And every school does it differently. So.
You mentioned the interest profiler as being a foundation task. What are some other foundational tasks for folks new to CIS? You also mentioned reality check and the certificate sort, but anything else?
Skills is also another one. That is one that I'm going to say a lot of your students, there's a special way to do it to make it impactful for your students. I will tell you that the skills assessment, as far as just doing it, can be very overwhelming. I hear that a lot, but if you have them go into Interest Profiler and find occupations and go through skills through selecting the occupation that they've already found through Interest Profiler, it can be really impactful. And I talk about that in my, I do a training just on interest, and I show you how they build on each other, Interest Profiler, skills, and reality check. They are like a trio. That is like, it's like a powerhouse of information for that student. They will see the cream rise to the top, right? Of this is really where I like my skills, my interests, it all kind of starts to fall together for them. It's a really neat moment with students when you proctor it in a way where it builds on the next. And I will be, again, I'm wrapping up this first webinar series, but I will be showing those 3 tools again because, and that's just, it's just a great pairing for the assessments. And also, so you guys know, the training calendar is on that portal login page. I'll show you it right before we get off of this call, but it says training calendar. You guys are welcome to come there. If you are not receiving emails letting you know, hey, this training is happening, like if your site coordinator at your school is not letting you know, you can always come and check and see what we're up to. And please come and attend the trainings. They really do help clarify how the tools work. And I'm making them 90 minutes. So you're not sitting there for 8 hours because these trainings are so long. I'm breaking it up into small sections for you. in hopes that it's a little bit easier to digest all of the tools. So.
Hey, Mary. This is Mary Jo. There's quite a few people. I mean, there's been a few on the chat, but I also know that, you know, some schools have switched over to Naviance and gotten rid of CIS, but we know that the VR, they can get access through their voc rehab counselor. Is this a lot different than that if they're doing it, or how's that look?
So let's go ahead really quickly. And that was something I was hoping to really have all this time to show you guys all of these great things. This has been really interesting. I've ran webinars specifically for adults and with VR counselors. And this has been really, really good. So let's talk about that. And I've been letting them know, hey, if you're working with a YTP specialist, reach out to them because this is what's in the system. And actually, this is how you guys could put it together for a high school student who has to use the VR site type. So let's look at this really quick. This is pretty much what the VR site type looks like. You'll see you guys when you log in as a VR counselor, they have the same purple background. They don't have the career plans that you get at high school. That's the difference. They get more adult-oriented career plans. They get this job transition career plan because they don't have to worry about meeting those high school standards. They also get this assessments and source career plan. But what I want you to know that's in here, one, is that you can create any career plan you want in here. So you could come up with a transition career plan that's at your VR site type. But a lot of the tools that you have in here are exactly the same. And we even give the Curly and the Senior Project Planner in the VR site type. So if you guys want to use that, it's here. So you have all of these same tools that you would have in the high school site type. It's really not that much different. It's more about how you're structuring this career plan. But you have access to that same project access curriculum, because it's a partnership with vocational rehabilitation. That's how we did it. So you guys have that. You guys will have pretty much all of the same resources. Again, we just don't give you the 9th through 12th career plan. So what I've realized is that if your school was using CIS to meet that plan and profile, they would have CIS. And if they don't, they're doing that in another way and it doesn't matter, right? It's irrelevant. They're finding another way to have your students do that. So you can use this VR version and come up with those career plans with your VR counselor. And what a great partnership between a YTP specialist and their VR counselor to come up with the plan together. I hear VR counselors getting very excited about that in these trainings I've done, where they realize that they could build that together so they're both getting the things that they need and really feeling like they have that input. And you guys can partner. So when you build those career plans, you have an option where you can collaborate together and build those things. So I do think that this can be a really strong collaboration tool if you guys are wanting to use it through that lens. Not that the high school site type is great too, because now you're getting a 2-for-1 in that you're meeting the plan and profile for that high school graduation requirement, but you're also having access to something that can transfer to VR. So the high school site type is very valuable, but if the school is doing something different, this is a great way. So yes, you have access to all of these great things, including all of that curriculum. So there are some differences, but primarily it's just the way we structured things. You can see we have the Curly Planner, the Senior Project Planner, we still have Learning Express. You have the Course Planner. So if you want to work with a VR counselor to see, you know, where a student is, they can come in and they can do that through here. So yes, that is a possibility, and it is not that much different.
Thanks, Mary.
Yep.
And then if a school district doesn't have CIS, we want to use the program for a non-YTP VR student, what would the individual user cost be if that's even applicable?
So I can tell you now the personal edition is not going to give you what you need. That's more for somebody who's assisting with some career development, but it doesn't really have the same saving features or transfer features. So there really isn't a good way to use the personal edition in that way. If it's a VR client who is at...
It was a non-VR.
non-VR but YTT. That's a tough one. Yeah, we don't.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, we don't really have one.
This is Cassie. I guess that was my question. Can I ask it again?
Yeah,
sure.
I found out about this last year. I went to the training out at Mountain Hood Community College and was super excited about it and realized that North Clackamas uses Naviance, so we could get it through VR. But I also thought it would be a fantastic tool to use as a pre-ETS for all of our other SPED kids. But when I spoke with our person at NCS, it almost seems like if we could, through our YTP grant, if we had additional funds, could we set up an additional admin other than VR so we can use that? Is that an option, or is that not really a possibility? Did that make any sense?
Well, yeah, it does. We only have where it's set up for each site that there's only one admin. But I do think that as the transition program seems to be growing, and you guys are in so many more schools, we've come across so many unique situations that we will always take these things into account. We always have to go to our lovely board and make sure that we're doing everything in a way and get feedback where we know that we're benefiting the people of State of Oregon. We're not crossing over toes or doing things that, so we always take these things and we do take them into account. So right now there isn't a way that we could really set that up other than your school just licensing CIS. If your school licensed CIS through your YTP grant, that is accessible to everybody at your school. We don't say, well, it's only for this group of students. We give you access, and then you guys can use that and implement that however you want. Okay. But really, it would just be the school licensing CIS at this point. But yeah, that really is the only option. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And then last question, for adult transition classes, what would you suggest?
Adult transition classes? I think that a lot of the same tools apply, but I think that you can dig a little bit deeper because typically by the time they are in adulthood, they've had some level of experience with work. So if you guys have the ideas assessment, if that's something at your site that is offered, it's an additional add-on. But that one is a little bit more adult-oriented. It's a little more of like, I have enough experience under my belt to know what I really don't like and what I really do like. That strongly like and strongly dislike option in those assessments are really good when you have a little breadth of experience under you. And so that's where the interest profiler, you can do that with the like and dislike, but then to dig in, some of these tools go a little bit deeper. But really any of the assessments are helpful for them. Reality check is something that can be done multiple times and by region, because you select the region you want to live in. So if they're in an adult transition program, and they're looking at wanting to relocate or live on their own, really making sure, or even semi-independently, it is a really great resource for them to be able to look and pair it to the occupation. So you can dig a little bit deeper with the assessments, and you can pair them in a similar way. Whoever's question that was, if you want to email me, I'd be happy to send you a list and show you the comparisons for adults. It takes a little time, but it's worth a little time showing the differences, which would be probably another 30 minutes if I were to dig in, and I know we don't have that kind of time. But please feel free to email me if any of these questions, if you want more in-depth or guidance, I would be happy to respond and help you out with that.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary, for doing this presentation for us.